What's up, y'all? Your boy QP, Nerds World of the World, just got out of the press screening for The Brutalist, arriving in select theaters on December 20th, arriving everywhere in January of 2025. My initial thoughts, as I do, coming out these press screenings here today at the AMC Georgetown. Adrien Brody is an immigrant coming over from, forgot what European country he was from. I think Israel. He's Jewish. And he's just trying to find a better life, make a better life for himself and bring his family over. He comes to Pennsylvania, works at a furniture store, then later lands a gig on helping this millionaire make a new structure for him and somebody that had passed away for him. And it's a very real, true immigrant story of just how brilliant people come and try to make the most with their lives. I thought it was a very interesting story. I'm gonna have a full review on the channel. Don't want to give away too much because it's not fully out yet, but definitely check it out. Your boy QP, Nerds Rule the World.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the NRW, where Nerds Rule the World. I am Heather Hurt. That is Kuya P, and I'm going to be shitting on him a lot in this review.
Am I the brutalist?
You are the brutalist in this case. We are going to finally review The Brutalist in as quick of a manner as possible, because if you have seen the movie, we want to make sure that we don't take up any more of your time. Let's start with the trailer. Just don't know what to say.
Erzsébet is alive. What?
These are yours, yes?
Yes.
All of them?
Yes.
Tell me, why is an accomplished foreign architect shoveling coal here in Philadelphia?
I'm afraid it is not so simple. There was a war on, and yet many of the sites of my projects had survived. My buildings were devised to endure such erosion of shoreline.
I brought you all out here to join me in looking forward toward the future.
What do you think?
It's unusual, even for you.
Your English is impressive. Perhaps you can help your husband sound less like he shined shoes for a wage. I'm sorry, will you please pass that back?
They do not want us here.
Who do you mean?
The people here, they do not want us here.
Dogs get sick, they often bite the hand of those who fed them, until someone mercifully puts them down.
Promise you won't drive him back. I promise.
That is The Brutalist, which is available right now to stream for rental on places like Amazon and Apple TV. It came out last year in 2024, but hit the Oscar stage like crazy, with Adrien Brody, of course, winning for Best Actor. Before we get into the review, there is something from that trailer that I do want to say that I wholeheartedly agree with. We'll talk about Adrien Brody, but I will say that this was personally, I do agree, this is probably Guy Pearce's best role he's ever done. I wholeheartedly agree to that. The film, it was directed by Brady Corbet, and as well as written by, along with Mona Fastvold. It starred Adrien Brody as László Toth, Felicity Jones as Erzsébet Toth, or Elizabeth in English. Guy Pearce plays Harrison Lee Van Buren Sr. Joe Alwyn is Harry Lee Jr. Raffey Cassidy is Sophia. Stacy Martin is Maggie Lee. Ooh, I'm sorry, I'm really far away. Isaach de Bankolé is Gordon. Alessandro Nivola is Attila. Uh, Adrien Labed is older Sophia. We have an incredible cast, and I'm trying to find. There he is. Zephan Hansen Misa is. Oh no, that's the teenage William. Oh my goodness, um as where is the gentleman who plays? I cannot find him. Who plays the best friend? I cannot see him on there. That's so weird. I don't know why IMDb has been changing how they list their cast lately, so I'm sorry if I miss somebody. I do absolutely. I cannot find him. The gentleman who plays the person of color, the best friend to László Toth, who we do. I actually think his portrayal of a black man in the 1950s is far better than Adrien Brody's Hungarian Holocaust surviving immigrant. But we'll get into that in a second. This will have spoilers. This movie has been out for nearly 6 months at this point, or for about 4.5, 5 months at this point. So if you haven't seen it, just be prepared that it's 3.5 hours long. The movie follows, it's actually a 3-part film with an intermission. Yes, it is that long, but it does have an included intermission. It is set up in 3 pieces, and we follow the immigration of László Toth and him bringing over his wife. László Toth is a Hungarian architect who created very interesting modern-esque buildings before the war, and they survived afterwards. And with that, after a surprise library reno at Van Buren Sr.'s office, he is brought into Van Buren's inner circle, where he is then ridiculed as being a Jewish immigrant. While he builds up this grandiose Catholic-esque community center on Van Buren's behalf. The movie it's both simplistic and it's very, very deep. It's a conversation about the commissioner, the art commissioner, and the artist. To give a very, very blatant statement overall, and a trigger warning for those of you, there's quite a bit of sex and sexual innuendo in this film, but there is physical assault in this film, which I will talk about from a negative perspective, because it's actually one of the moments that I hated the most, and not just because it was gay sex. Like, it's nothing that has nothing to do with it. Sex is sex. Whoever does it, as long as you have consent, that's great. But trigger warning: there is sexual assault in this film. With that being said, Kuyapi, let's go right into it. What were your initial thoughts of the trailer when you first looked at this?
I want to say curious. I love historical films based on true stories. I did the trailer react with our pal Eldon on the channel back in October, so I can't really recall offhand, but I would say that I was somewhat curious. Adrien Brody, great actor. Guy Pearce, great actor. Felicity Jones, and we'll talk more within the review. But I think I was curious, but not completely set on it, and so wasn't sure what I was going to get ready to get into.
Mm-hmm. Fair. I will say, to go off of that, this movie is a work of fiction. Please know that this movie is a work of fiction that's based. The only truth based in this is off of the stories of immigrants and how they were treated. So the character of László Toth is technically an amalgamation of stories that were given from Holocaust survivors, from immigrants at the time. But there are elements. Van Buren is just a name. It's not, it's not the president's family or anything like that. This is a work of fiction that is 3.5 hours long. I'm going to repeat, it is 3.5 hours long. With that, I did not look at the trailer. Honestly, this film, as the child of Holocaust surviving immigrants, I did not, or along my family, I wasn't necessarily rushing to see this film. A24, I've said this several times on the channel, they can do really great things. They're very good at finding stories that need to be shared. At the same time, the movies that they put out are either really good or really meh. And unfortunately, this one fell in the I really didn't know how I felt about it category of the meh. And so I did not watch it until I was forced by my producer to watch it. So we're just going to go straight into the next part. Let's actually get into the review. And once again, we're going to try and make this quick because you've already spent 3.5 hours watching the movie. QP, what are your thoughts?
Yeah. 3.5 hours of torture, but not really torture. I was meh. My end results, my thoughts coming out of it was meh. A24, like you said, can be up or down. For me, mainly positive for me with A24. But this one was like, what the fuck? Can we learn editing? Why did I sit through 3.5? This could have been condensed. Shot very well. The opening scene, they're just driving. Amazing shot. I love that continuous shot drive. But then just everything else was shot really well. They felt like you were in different areas that they shot. Some very beautiful cinematic shots. I think the biggest thing for me is it's about an artist and the commissioner. Like you said, Brody and Guy Pearce. I wanted to know more about how he came to come up with his style, which we find out later on in avoiding spoilers, even though it's been out for a little bit. But I still don't feel that we understood why he created his style in such a way, even though you'll find out in certain elements, but it wasn't fully there. I wanted to know that as an artist. And to me, it concentrated on too much of his torture and his willingness that he's a torture soul for obvious reason for what he lived through. But then just being consumed by that and just giving everything still to other people. There's just, I don't know. I know, like you said, Heather, is an amalgamation of things, but it just, an outstanding performance by Brody, Jones, and Pearce, but I didn't really connect, and it just felt super long. And as a film that I'm trying to understand as an artist, I want to know why he does certain things with his art, but I'm just going to give up everything. And for what? Why do you do that? And there's this, I don't know, it didn't hit with me with certain things. Again, beautiful film, well shot film, well acted film, but the story didn't fully connect with me. So it was a meh. I wouldn't hate it, but I don't think it deserves all of these accolades that I see here when there were so many other better films last year. Those are my thoughts.
I can agree to that. I also, with that being said, I did realize I did announce him, Isaach de Bankolé, that he played Gordon. I loved him, and I actually loved him. But the movie was so long. I'm not even going. I do not shit you. I cannot remember half of these characters' names. Honestly, I forgot that his name was László, even though he's called László throughout the movie and he's not Toth. This movie is so fucking long. It's so fucking long. Oppenheimer, I'm going to compare this, and this is something that I did. Oppenheimer is a 3-hour film. It is a slow burn. But the thing is it was a story that caught people at Oppenheimer. There's already fans of history. There's already fans of elements that are of the story that kept you going, and the acting was superb to go along with it. Then you have 3.5, 4-hour films like the extended Lord of the Rings. I have sat through that in theaters, the extended Lord of the Rings in theaters multiple times. There are many people who do, but that's because there is an embedded fandom that grew with that series. There was no fandom to this to make this 3.5 hours long. There was zero fandom, and I would not be surprised if there were people walking out at this during this film. It's not that it's not beautiful. It's not that it's not well acted. Once again, I do agree. I think this is probably one of the best roles Guy Pearce has ever freaking done. You wanted to hate that man. And one thing that I was reading a review of the film that said, or an interview with him, where he's like, one of his favorite things. I don't care about spoiling this film because, once again, I said it at the forefront. This movie's been out for months. If you haven't seen it, you can definitely go. It's only like $5.99 on Amazon and on Prime and Apple TV. Please go get it. If you do like historical films, even if they are fiction or otherwise, this might be for you. The movie is beautiful. The context is beautiful. It's just unnecessarily long. But Guy Pearce had a statement where he really loved the fact that he is called out for raping Toth, and then, not him. He didn't do it. Guy Pearce did not do it. But Van Buren Sr. did rape Toth in a very dark way. In a statement of the control, a rich man taking advantage of a poor man who needs money, who needs support. The overarching power dynamic of power holder versus power wielder versus the powerless. It was a very wonderful way to put it, but it also didn't need to be done with a assault scene. It really, really didn't freaking need to happen, because it also plays into the horrible trope of gay sex being a negative, and I really freaking hated that. But I keep dropping away. Guy Pearce does say that after that, one of his favorite elements is that Van Buren, when he's called out for it, he just vanishes. And it really gives you a lot of questions as to who Van Buren was. Has he done this shit before? And I really loved that. Guy Pearce, I personally thought was a standout role. And I did, to go against that, Adrien Brody did a phenomenal job. He did a phenomenal job. But the way he acted at the Oscars, and he's like, I've done this shit before, honestly, it kind of soured my taste. I did watch this after the Oscars, and I kind of went, eh, eh. And also the unnecessary comments about the Jewish nose is I don't give a shit about that. But the movie was unnecessarily long. It was there were elements, once again, using gay sex as a assault with gay sex plays into terrible stereotypes. A lot of terrible stereotypes were used in this film, and I just did not care for it. It was a good reflection of the immigrant experience during that time, especially for Holocaust survivors, but it wasn't the greatest. And as Kuya P mentioned, it wasn't consistent. There were times that were just confusing. What they do talk about why Toth at the very end, why he built the building he did. He did it as a reflection of himself, even though it was a Catholic building. And we could, honestly, I think if we had learned that earlier, I would have been more, because even when Erzsébet looks at that, she's like, why would you do this? She didn't even comprehend it. And it made for a lack of investment. If nobody knows what you're doing, why the fuck are you even doing it? So overall, is it worth 3.5 hours? No. If this movie was 2 hours, I think it would have been better. You can learn to cut. You do not need a 3.5 hour film. If you do, make it the director's cut. But I do not, at the same time, I do not want to downplay. It took a shit ton of work to make this movie, a shit ton. And some of it was with AI, and you didn't need to use AI. Final thoughts, real quick, Kuya P.
Agreed.
Word vomited.
Agreed. Want to bring up Felicity Jones again, because we've talked a lot about Adrien Brody and Guy Pearce. Again, did a great job. I agree with your comments about Brody's comments at the Oscars. Douchebag type of shit right there for me as well. But he acted his ass off in this, as did Pearce. But Felicity Jones, phenomenal. Felicity Jones, I think, deserves more praise. She did some great work in this. But also, I didn't say this earlier. When I saw this film, it was like around November, post-election results. And here I am seeing kind of like Trump-like type shit with, and it was, hopefully people see these things. And yeah, this is real shit. White oligarchs, white men power. This is the story of these people and how they're ruling right now. And it just aggravation. But by showing these things, people can see that. But then I think sometimes some people just don't even care. They're seeing this and they just don't even care. These are the makings of how a villain is formed. But yeah, I also had another quick thought, I'm sorry, is as I was watching, I'm like, oh, this is good. I always think about films that you could show kids in school to learn about history. But then certain scenes happened and I'm like, no, I guess I can't show this in school. Maybe even maybe edit it, because it does talk about the immigrant experience. That's what I thought it did well and handled. But then there's certain things that, yeah, you can't show this in school. But we need more films that talk on history and show it in its very ugly fashion, but also there's certain cuts you obviously got to make because you can't show it to everyone in school. But I think there's things in here that you should learn and know to prevent, again, history repeating itself.
Absolutely. My final thoughts are: it is not worth 3.5 hours. Point blank. It's not.
Agreed.
I wish I could say it was, because once again, there's some great work here. Cinematography, directing. The script should have been cut by about a third. But once again, 2.5 hours, I could have dealt with this. I literally got to the point where I was at 1 hour and 50 minutes and I still had an hour and a half to go, and I could not fathom it. It took me 3 days to get back to this movie. It's boring. It's beautiful. The acting's great. It's boring as shit. And it's not, I don't know how it got that many accolades. I have no idea. But once again, don't want to downplay the work that was put into this. I will make fun of you for using so much AI. I will do that. You can see the Brutalist. You can rent it right now. And I say so much. There are only a little bit, but you shouldn't be using AI in film at all. You shouldn't. You don't need to. But with that being said, you can rent it right now in places like Prime and Apple TV. Go check it out if you are interested, and we will talk to y'all soon.
My apologies for torturing Heather, but because it won an Oscar, we had to talk about it. But my apologies to Heather. I want to end it right there.
Nerds rule the world.
Pleasure chatting with you. Love to all my nerds who rule the world.
Yeah. Nerds rule the world.
Yes, we do.
Thanks. Nerds rule the world. Thank you.
I love the nerds ruling the world, so more power to you.
Patrick, what up, man? And yes, they do. Nerds rule the world, kid.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Awesome. Kuya P, nerds rule the world. Hello.
Yes, they do.
Yes.
Oh,
nerds rule the world.
I got.
It's in the title of your show, like nerds rule the world. Like I want more black weirdos on screen, and I don't feel like we ever get to see that very much.
Thank you so much. Nerds do rule the world.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you, nerds rule. Love
it. Hello, Sarah. Hello, Julian.
Yes, nerds rule. Yes.
Rock on. I love it. Thank you so much.
It's good to see you. I love Nerds Rule the World.
But yeah, there's a heavy nerd component, man.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, if you ask me, nerds rule the world. So
absolutely.
And you're right. Nerds do rule the world.
We're just the best.
Yes.
Thank you, ladies.
Nerds so much.
Thank you.
Yes. Thank you, guys.
Bye.
It's your boy Kuya P. Nerds rule the world. Thank you so much, guys. I appreciate you.
Do. They rule the world all right.
Yes. Take care, Tony. Thank you, guys.